Today on the Garagefathers, we're gonna have some stupid fun with my friend David's Volkswagen. David, come on in. Thanks for bringing the car in, man.
No problem.
Hey, by the way, excuse me. Have you guys seen Tom? Or anyways, hey, thanks for bringing the car in, man.
No problem.
All right, folks, the big swag from Monster Garage. Listen, in the heart of California, two hardcore enthusiasts have started a business like no other. These guys build, drive, and insure some of the baddest cars on the planet. Their list of clients range from the struggling college student to the rich and famous. They take the proceeds from their agency and dedicate it to the rescue, rehab, and rehoming of forgotten collector vehicles. Their office is a diner. Their shop is a showroom. They are the Garagefathers.
I just wanted something different. I really did. I had an idea in mind, and I was trying to bridge two worlds, and it just turned out to be this.
Mission accomplished, man. I'll never forget. I was at Cars and Coffee one day, and I see this thing rolling in, and everybody had to flock to it because everybody loved it, but nobody had seen anything like it. So great job being creative and coming up with a one-off build. And I understand you bought this way, right?
Yeah, I got it at the car store. It was on sale. It was on the end camp, by the Entenmann's.
Right.
But no, it's. I was waiting for something like that. No, it's all me. It's nice to be able to say that about the car, because a lot of times I've had help with things. You get things from other places and see other guys have things done professionally. And for me, it was just like I was desperate to be kind of bumper to bumper with the car.
Yeah.
And so it's all me. It's a lot of fun.
This is not your first build, right? You've built numerous cars, obvious from the quality of the build.
Oddly enough, no. It's not my first car, but it's my first kind of tip-to-tip car. I've done some restoration work on Volkswagens, but they're usually really mild. You're not changing, body panels. You're not changing, body lines and stances. You're just, some suspension, paint, and interiors.
Right.
But this one was the first one for me, kind of digging all in, which was a challenge, and I'm kind of notorious for sticking my foot into something that is uncomfortable and trying to work my way out, which I think that's the best way to learn.
Yeah.
Really the best way to learn.
So let's go back to the beginning.
Okay.
Where did it all begin with classic cars for you?
My first car that was truly mine was a 65 Volkswagen Beetle.
Okay.
And it belonged to a guy who lived, it's like my cousin's cousin, belonged to a guy who lived next door to my dad's friend, who was my mom's friend first. But short story, I had to push the thing to his house. His name was Gary Waff. He was a mechanic, and he was in the Volkswagens. And so we pushed it to his house, and he taught me how to work on Volkswagens.
Okay.
And we had to work on it to get it rolling, get it started, and that's where it kind of kicked off. And I built kind of a mild custom car. It was like an early 90s hot rod Volkswagen for me, which was cool. Got me into car culture and Volkswagen culture with lots of really awesome people, and just kind of kicked it off.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And is this the only classic car you have right now?
So I have this one. I've got a 1958 11 window bus. I've got a 44 pickup truck that's in sections hiding in my shop and out front of my shop. I've got a 50 Ford shoebox that's on the rack, getting suspension work done now. And That's the only one I can divulge because my wife will see this. And
Oh,
she'll
yes,
know.
right,
I have,
right.
some, I have,
That-
I have a
that's
couple
all.
other ones.
That's
hidden,
all.
but
No other
yeah,
cars,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
That's it.
And then my dad's too. I'm going to wind up working on his as well because
Oh,
he
yeah.
just picked one up. So.
What's he have?
37 Ford Slantback.
Oh, nice, nice.
So
Very cool.
that
Yeah.
one's thankfully in much better condition, so it doesn't
Yeah.
need, right off the bat attention.
Yeah.
Because I just don't have the time.
Awesome, awesome. So was there anything that sticks out in your mind that was particularly challenging when you set about building this car?
In all honesty, it wasn't too challenging. I mean, I'm a sculptor by trade, and so I like to work my way through materials, and I like to look at things and move back and forth and kind of play with the visuals. And so oddly enough, it felt really natural to kind of dig into something and really start moving lines instead of just kind of refining and cleaning lines. And the weird thing is that it all started with the tires. I got the tires, somebody suckered me into buying the tires. They're like, hey, I've got these tires, you need these tires. I'm like, what am I gonna do with those tires? I'll make you a great deal. I'm like, all right, why not? And so I took them home, I put them in my shop, and they were on a shelf, and I was looking at them for about 5 years.
Okay.
And I'm like, what do I do with these tires? What do I do with these tires? I started looking around and seeing what those tires look good on, and that kind of led me in the direction of the build.
Wow.
Because they were the first thing I had before I had the parts for the car.
No kidding.
I had the
Wow.
rubber. Yeah.
Now, did you kind of sketch it out, like, oh, I want it to look like this, and stick with that, or did you just take the Sawzall and like?
I was looking at, viewfinder. I was looking at some Volks rods, and I thought there's something kind of cool about them. And I wanted to bring like these kind of two worlds together. My dad always talked about cars when I was a kid. He never really had any custom cars when I was around. It was all kind of like pre-kid car stories, and he was interested in kind of classic Americana and T-buckets, roadsters.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I like those, but I was still in this drive line of Volkswagens.
Sure.
And I thought, so how do I mesh the two worlds? And I saw this Volks rod thing, and I've seen some really kind of rough ones. I thought, well, I bet I can make a clean version and kind of make the T-bucket of VWs, where it's lots of engine, minimal body, open, and just kind of a whole lot of fun going from like 0 to 40 really quick between stoplights for me, or maybe 0 to 100 if I could, but I don't know. It doesn't have a speedometer. I have no idea how fast I'm going. It's a knuckle grabber, so.
Yeah, it just depends on how fast your hair gets pulled back.
Yeah, I got that problem. It's
It's aerodynamic, man.
I had
You get to go that much
really
faster.
long, beautiful blonde hair when I built this, but it goes so fast it just whipped out.
Right, yeah, that's
I wish that was the case.
Yeah,
Then it'd grow back when I'm not driving, but it just doesn't want to come back. I don't know what to do.
I got to tell you, Dave, you've done an incredible job coming up with something really unique. I personally have never seen anything like this. I don't know if you guys have seen anything like this before. If you have, leave a comment and let us know. While you're at it, make sure you subscribe to our channel so that we can continue to bring you more golden people and cars like my friend Dave here. I'm dying to take a closer look at this thing, man. Can we take a lap around it?
Yeah, of course. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do that. All right. This is awesome, man.
Thanks.
I see you went with some, is that some semaphores here? Or?
Yeah, they are some early like 50s Lucas semaphores.
Okay.
And I wanted semaphores like desperately because it's, as a Volkswagen guy, it's like, oh, that's like the quintessential.
Holy
You made it.
grail.
You got semaphores? Yeah. But I didn't want to pay for the VW ones, and since I'm going in the direction that was going to probably irritate most Volkswagen folks, kind of the purists in it, I was searching around and found a set online from a guy who has a company that restores them in England. So had them shipped over. They'd already been 12 volt converted, and I thought, oh, this is going to be cool. I got to find a way to work them in. They work great on the bench. They don't want to work when I'm driving. They flip up, the wind catches them, it pulls them back. So they're fun. They're an
But
interesting
that's a signature
element.
Lucas thing, is it not? Like
Yeah.
sometimes work, sometimes not.
I don't know, tell you the truth. They were new to me because it was like one of those things like, I've got to have one, I've got to have one. I don't know if I really understood the realities of it. They work great when I'm sitting and, flicking them up and playing with them.
Right.
I think they're more of kind of like a man toy on your car. It's like that
Nice.
this cool accessory that looks great, but
Yeah.
doesn't do a whole lot other than look good.
Right.
Which I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the
it's
point
awesome.
with the car.
It's awesome.
Look cool.
This looks like a pretty good sized tire. What size tire are we running?
These are my sucker tires that I got suckered into buying.
Okay.
And here's They're 700 R15 light truck tires.
Oh, okay.
And I think they were destined to be on a trailer initially.
Oh, no.
And so that's where they came my way. There's kind of a really cheap version initially, visually for bias ply, having that kind of like flat vintage kind of look.
Right.
And yeah, they were. I think they really set the tone for everything when I started putting this together.
Yeah.
Because it really dictated what had to be in combination, and also the overall style of the car was really kind of set off by that. It's like shoes. Certain shoes go with certain outfits, and
yeah.
the tires are the shoes on the car, and it really set the tone.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's take a peek. Do you mind popping the hood for me?
Sure. I don't remember where the latch is.
Oh no.
We'll have to wing it.
Improvise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've got a hood for it.
Oh, you do?
So I painted the hood. I have the hood, but it didn't visually work.
Yeah.
The nice thing about the car is that with it going in kind of a completely organic direction, I wasn't committed to anything. So the hood went on, and then it didn't look right, and so the hood's on top of my office, sitting there waiting.
Well,
for
I
something
think
else.
it would be a crime to hide all of this craftsmanship. I mean, this is from the way you've bent the lines to the way you have everything placed and how everything just works. Dude, this is next level craftsmanship.
Thanks. It went kind of in that direction where I started thinking about the car being so minimal that everything in the car had to be seen. And there's no room to hide it. And so it forced you into like dealing with every little element, because it came sort of an aesthetic part of the build, aesthetic part of the car. And so lines had to be clean, the thoughts on materials really changed. And I loved that because it was like a finishing challenge. Like, what materials do you use? Are you putting rubber lines? Are you putting aluminum lines in? And do we polish? How are they going to age? And it turned out to be a really awesome puzzle to start putting together.
It's awesome. And then what do we have here in this little leather pouch?
So that just hides the rear end of my toggles.
Okay.
So the car's all run on toggles, it's keyless, and everything's on switches. And so I wanted to hide everything. Notoriously, Volkswagens have like this pot of spilled spaghetti in the front. It's just you open it up, it's like, it's everywhere, snakes. And so I wanted to hide as much of it as I could. So behind the driver's side seat, I have a box that's got all my relays, all my electrical, and I just kind of daisy chained up everything into the front to hide just my switches.
Okay.
So really clean, just bare minimal switching underneath there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then what's this symbol above the semaphore there?
It's a German crest it's like a Deutschland, it's like a screaming eagle of some sort. I don't know a whole lot behind it. I know it's an image you see a lot with kind of historical German symbols. And it's a German car. I kind of had to have something on it. I'm really minimal about things I want to put on cars. I don't like stickers. I don't like labels. I have a hard time with badges and logos because it looks like I'm going to be the advertisement for somebody else. And so with that, it was like my one badge I wanted to put on there to kind of a little bit of symbolism.
Yeah, that's awesome here. Well, I love the way you've rolled the tops of the door seals and edges, everything.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, that was a lot of fun actually doing that work, trying to sculpt it and put it together. It was also a lot easier on finding glass for it because it's like, all right, we're getting rid of all the windows, getting rid of the heavy components for what was the cab. But yeah, it was a fun process, smoothing it. I think it really sets the tone well. It's got a nice kind of hip that goes into this kind of flat plateau. They feel good. And
it looks like when you're driving, your butt is what, like 4 inches off the ground?
When it's aired up, yeah.
Oh, when it's aired up,
yeah. No, it's a tail dragger, my own tail.
Got any scars back there from this thing?
No, it's crazy though, because before I had the seats padded, I had plywood seats. Oh. And the car weighs probably 900 pounds. With airbags, it's stiff. And talk about some rear action. I mean, I was just sore. You had to sit a certain way and kind of flex a little bit because, man, it just beat you up, really beat you up.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. And I love the clean look of the dash. Is that 2 dashes that you put together? Or?
So I just started cutting and sealing and smoothing the dash. I kept the original hole for the radio, and a company, I can't remember their name, makes that dash cluster for the gauges.
Yeah.
And so I kept that part of it, and then I got some aluminum, and I continued the trim out and made some aluminum strips. It kind of reflects the original dash trim that was, the stainless steel kind of pressed.
Right.
I couldn't find one long enough, so I made them out of solid billet.
Yeah.
Which I think is a nice kind of touch. It's just clean, simple, minimal. And then I had to fabricate my little box at the bottom to kind of mold in that holds my switches for the air ride. So I wanted the car completely analog, I wanted no digital components.
Sure.
And so instead of going with the, kind of the modern switches,
Yeah.
there's a company that makes that switch panel. It's old school toggles.
Just gotta
Everything's
seat of the pants, basically.
yeah. So even if my electrical system goes out, the switches still work.
Yeah,
So I can still
nice.
look good. Sitting still, going nowhere.
Right. Yeah, I love the shifter too. It's got that cartoon like Ed Roth feel.
So I picked that shifter up a long time ago as well. It was initially destined to go in my bus.
Okay.
And so it's a tall, drag fast shifter. And I had it laying around. I had to make a couple modifications to fit the ball joint for the linkage. But I put that in there, and it just, as soon as that arm came up, there was just something so great about it, and it's just the perfect height, and hangs in there. On one arm's on the wheel, or on the side, and one holds the shifter. It's perfect. It fits great. And I found a black cue ball. I had an 8-ball for it, but again, the logo, the numbers, it just didn't fit. So I went and found a black cue ball they sell online, and so cut it, tapped it, and I made a nice little shifter for it.
Nice. And I think it's time to take a look at the centerpiece of the whole build, I guess.
Yeah.
What do we have? How many kilowatts of whatever? What do we got going on here?
So we got a little pea shooter engine back here. Now it's a traditional Volkswagen case build motor. It's 2109, 2110, somewhere right around there, cc's. Nice. I don't know exactly off that. I bought parts and bits from a local shop, CB Performance. And they gave me some ideas on specs for the engine build, and so I bought all the components and put them together. It was a lot of fun building this because it made me think differently with having the entire rear of the car basically gone. Things are exposed, and traditionally exhaust goes towards the rear. I had this huge open space, and so I had to find some ways to reconfigure this compartment. So I used a Porsche Spyder exhaust, which traditionally on the Porsche mid-engine, the engine's backwards, so it allowed me to run the exhaust towards the cab, so nothing hangs out the rear, no kind of tubing hanging out, visually interrupting it. And with that, then the turbo system got put together off that exhaust, kind of throwing everything forward. It's great being in the car, and the sound is right there, everything is there. But yeah.
Wow. And then do you care to speak about horsepower figures or anything like that?
So according to speculation, so with the engine components, I was talking to their main engine builder out at CB Performance and the guys there, and they said with that setup I had, I should get right around 145 to 150 horsepower. Nice. And then add turbo onto it, you add another 20%. And so somewhere in the 170 plus range.
Nice.
That matched with a car that weighs about 900 pounds.
That's like 80 horsepower per pound or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's enough to make this thing just kind of scoot along and want to roast tires and go. It's one hell of a fun ride.
Yeah, right. And I love the license plate because you think of the car like when it's not in front of you, or I do anyways, as sort of like a rat bug or whatever, but it's obviously not. It's on such a beautiful build level that it's not a rat at all. I love that.
I was thinking rat originally, but rat has that connotation of like rust and kind of gumballed, and so it's more like a dressed up rat, a slick rat, it's a rat in a tuxedo a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
And rude bug, was kind of a funny tongue-in-cheek thing because it's like people ask me, what is that? What kind of car is that? I'm like, it's a bug. That's not, I'm like, that's a bug. It's kind of rude and loud and obnoxious now. And so that's where the name came for the license plate.
What is it that you like to tell people that visit car shows?
It depends on the car show. So if it's a car show with people who are traditionalists, I think it's always fun to give them an earlier date. It makes the car older because they're harder to find, and when they see how much has been chopped and cut off of this thing, it really kind of gets things boiling a little bit, makes for better conversation. If it's a show where it's a bunch of classic American cars, I just tell them it's a 69 or somewhere around there, because nobody cares.
Right.
They don't know those little nuances like the 50s? Where's the oval window? It's like, what'd you do with it? It's like, oh, I threw it away. It's too small. And then people just, it always makes for a fun conversation.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, I love the bends, the way that you did your exhaust. It's simple, but it's beautiful. And
it's funny because simplicity is kind of easy to do when you don't have to route around things. It's wide open. It's like, oh, straight there.
Yeah.
And so the car's overall design really helped me kind of keep it clean.
Right.
So I'd like to take credit for some of it, but some of it's just kind of that natural development of like, hey, just go where it needs to be.
Right.
And that was kind of the idea with the car, just kind of keeping it essential, keeping like the necessities, what you need to do what you're going to do. And I think it kind of led me in the right direction.
Yeah, it's stunning, man. I mean, look at what time it is. It's boogie time, man.
All right.
I like it. Let's go out and have some fun with it, shall we?
Yes.
All right,
for sure.
Dave, you're a freaking madman with this thing.
Thanks.
This is the most fun and most scared I've been in a car in a long time.
It's good stuff.
It's fun, man. Thanks for bringing it out. I really wish Tom could have been here today.
Who's Tom?